Hello everyone, in this video we're going to draw a German Shepherd. First we'll draw a few simple shapes for a bit of structure, then add the final drawing on top using easy line work, and then add some shading for the final result. I'll add a link for the materials used in the description below. Let's jump in. Let's start by drawing a big circle as a guide for the head. And an easy way to draw the circle is to first make a few small marks to indicate the circle's height, and then on the sides make a couple more small marks for the circle's width. Then just connect the small marks using curved lines to finish the shape of the circle. And sketch lightly at first so that it's easy to erase if you make a mistake. Also pause the video as you follow along to draw at your own pace. And you don't have to draw a perfect circle, but if you're having trouble drawing one, it's okay to trace the outer edge of a bowl or a cup or anything else with a circular edge. Now draw a long sloping line across the circle to divide it in half. And extend the bottom part of the line so that it's outside of the circle, and this will also give you the tilt of the head. So however you tilt this line, that will be the way the head tilts as well. Now on the left side, make a small mark for the front part of the muzzle. And pay attention to the distance between this small mark and the edge of the circle. It should be about the same as half of the circle, a little bit less than half of the circle. That should be the length of where you place the mark, and then extend the mark to create a slightly longer sloping line, and this will be the front part of the muzzle. And then at the top, draw another sloping line for the top part of the muzzle. And then close off the shape at the bottom as well. And this sort of forms a shape that's similar to an arc on its side. And at the top, draw a big triangular shape as a guide for the ear. And make this triangular shape tall. German Shepherds have big ears, so don't make this shape too small in relation to the head. And to the left, draw a similar shape as a guide for the other ear. And draw these two shapes close together. They sort of resemble a big letter M. And then at the bottom, draw a short line for the indication of the neck. And on the right side, where the construction guide is, draw another short line for the back portion of the neck. And that's it for the guidelines. Now let's start on the final drawing. Inside the head, lightly sketch a small circle for the eye. And place the eye close to the top edge of the muzzle. And notice how small the eye is too in relation to the head. It's quite small. And when you get the size and position of the eye right, draw a sloping line at the top for the eyelid. And then darken the bottom part of the circle for the bottom part of the eye, and then darken the left edge of the circle for the eyeball. So the outer structure of the eye is sort of similar to a greater than sign. And inside the eye, draw a tiny circle for a highlight. And in the middle of the eye, draw an oval, a very small oval, and shade it in for the pupil. Now draw another sloping line above the eye for a crease on the eye for the eyelid. And extend the line at the bottom farther to the left to create the inner corner of the eye. And now at the top, lightly sketch a big curved shape to create the brow. The left side of this shape should be along the path of the initial circle. And when you get the shape right, darken it using a couple of short strokes and angled lines to create a furry texture on the brow. And at a curved line at the bottom, and a couple of short strokes to further emphasize the fur on the brow, and then add a few more short strokes at the bottom for the color separation on the fur. Now draw a curved line on the top corner of the muzzle to indicate where the nose will be, and make this line long in relation to the muzzle. And this is going to be a more stylized version of a German Shepherd, so we're going to exaggerate the shape slightly. And now draw the shape of the nose along the path of the guides using curved lines. And inside, draw a short vertical line for the nostril, and the nostril is facing to the left, so you can't really see it, so just draw a thick line for it, and then a sloping line for the bottom edge of the nose. Now draw the shape of the muzzle along the path of the guides, and make the shapes a bit more curved than the guides as well. And at the bottom, draw a short horizontal line for the mouth. And then add a couple of lines below that for the lips that droop down on the mouth. And then add a couple more sloping lines for the lower jaw and a bit of loose skin on the lower jaw. Now draw the shape of the first ear along the path of the triangular shape on top of the head, and extend the lines farther down so that the base of the ear is inside the head. The bottom part of the ear crosses over the construction guide. And then add a line inside the shape for the edge of the ear's opening, and curve the line to give it some structure, and add a few more lines too for structure. And make the edge thicker by drawing another vertical line. And then just add a few angled lines at the bottom for the furry base of the ear. And draw the ear to the left the same way. A big part of this ear will be hidden behind the head, so only draw the visible section. Now draw the rest of the head along the path of the initial circle. And add a curved line close to the eye to create the brow that's on the other side of the head. And if you've made it this far, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And draw a series of short angled lines as you darken the path of the guides to create a furry texture. And add a few short lines at the bottom too to complete the shape of the neck. And add a few short strokes within the head too to give the head a bit of structure and for the color separation on the fur. So draw these lines using short strokes to create a furry texture. And that's pretty much it for the drawing portion of the German Shepherd, and now let's move on to finalize the drawing. Now erase the guidelines for a cleaner drawing. And you don't have to erase all of the guidelines, it's okay if you leave some behind. If you do want to erase most of the guidelines, you can use a thin eraser like I'm using. This is a click eraser that has a thin tip, and it works great because it gets between the final lines and gets rid of most of the guidelines. And then just go over the final lines that you may have accidentally erased. And add a few more short strokes inside the head for more texture on the fur. And now I'm going to go over the final lines with a kneaded eraser to pick up some of the graphite. Now I'm going to go over the final lines using some charcoal, and you don't have to use charcoal, you can use a regular graphite pencil like I've done in past videos, but I want this to be a more bold and graphic drawing, so I'm going to be using charcoal. And this is an HB grade charcoal pencil, which is pretty light. I'm also going to be using a 2B and a 4B as well. Use a piece of scrap paper to rest your hand to prevent smudging. Now shade the dark areas on the head, like the nose and sections on the fur. Leave a thin strip blank on the nose to create a highlight. Use a dark value to shade the main part of the muzzle. Push down lightly as you shade to create a light value, and then push down harder to create a darker value. You can use a kneaded eraser to pick up some of the charcoal to get a light value too. As you shade, use strokes that go in the direction of the fur. And add some shadows across the head using a dark value too. The shadows will give the head more dimension and volume. Add a few short lines across the head to emphasize the texture on the fur. And this is supposed to be a simple sketch, so it's okay to not add too much detail. Keep shading until you're happy with the result. And that's it for the German Shepherd. Remember to pause the video to draw at your own pace. Also, please visit howtodrawanimals.com for more tutorials. That's how, and then the number 2, then drawanimals.com. If you'd like to support my channel, please consider buying my books on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. Don't forget to leave a comment, to like the video, and to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep drawing.